We'll be playing 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons today. Now, how many of you have ever played Dungeons & Dragons? No? Good. So, I've been playing since I was a small child. I am going to teach you in like less than a half an hour how to play Dungeons. We'll be playing Dungeons & Dragons.
As far as the community, they're still struggling.
Or my name is Bill.
Water, trying to do it any way they can. But this is a year ago.
The first thing that you're going to learn about Dungeons & Dragons is a lot of the things that you know from video games.
Access
from this, right?
Is going to be dependent upon all or
so the first thing that we start off with is race.
To things that we talk
now
about
there are a lot of
time
races that you can choose from. This is the player's handbook, so it gives you basic races.
It's gonna hammer them down fast. Everybody roll, do your numbers. That's algebra. A plus B, A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Now, when we get there to a half an hour to this kind of character creation set up on individually going through it, working on your cards, do your research when you say, what can you do as an orc? Which one do you like as far as carpenter, mason, artist, linguistics, marketing, whatever. There's a bunch in there where there's certain probabilities where things do different and have different strategies. You might want to study some of those things from ranger, elf, orc, vampire, whatever you got. Usually vampires come from big houses. There's different types of them, but you know, anything energy, heat, cold has some big systems on what type of roll, why the standards and rules work that way to gravity. There's some colors, rings, and other things. That Zoom class meeting to this thing being, again, just some board meeting comparatively to other frames that we could drop in here at the same time. In here, while I do my IMA classes, let's say sociology, Zoom meeting, it's usually local about, well, not only am I going to go through one of you, I'm also going to use that reference to determine certain standards on, well, if you got an orc or a battle tank or something else like that, and the Oilers number of the paper trade for land nav on Normandy, Iwo Jima, whatever value comes up on the starter board or the stone mill that day in the break room for the book standards on Oilers numbers, safety models, and differentials. This is where you can kind of use that, guys, because like I said, you're going to lead with what you have. You're going to have, so now that we kind of did Break Baker, that was the same protocol and sectors on standard models dimensional analysis of what these prettied versions can kind of do. I mean, you have X, Y, and Zeta, and then T correlates to, well, only the elves can have those things, but there's something very congruent with other classes or standards or high-low probability, time dilation, variations that might be more realistic to, well, it all is going to go to binary, but then hex, because 3 on 2 on 1, kind of do some dimensional gravity things for, well, while you're actually there, your character had this kind of trajectory and it still failed to the dragon. This class, any other class, this value of where it's supposed to go, because, well, the kids are very specific and do have more than just 0 one time. We're just quantifying it's more efficient to run 0 one time here to build you something that takes as long to graph as your entirety of your life. You're still adapting skills, even if it's doing it for somebody else on a mechanical, sociology. Director of Information Technology doesn't quantify to just computer chips. It can correlate to people at desks because they act as resistors and feed into the system with proper adjustments. Next thing you know, the secretary for the mayor on the system, or the house, there you go. You know, and of course for me that wouldn't necessarily be that. See, it's still E energy, so it still doesn't apply as long as it registers a click. And
yes, of course, yes, there are things that are worse.
Which is exactly how it sounds. These are your classic, whether it's a knight, or an archer, a fighter is a person who is trained.
In this group, there's high probability for certain things just because there's an average of prime numbers. 3-pound bass. This guy right here looks a little older. This one here might cover the index in this out of the pond. So I might go heavier with a Ace or AR-15-0-1. If I get him and the rest of you turn it, well, AR-15 is again this house. This has electrons like soldiers do in the lunch line, because you do the lunch line on a very different M1 scale. Individually, everybody does that, regardless of it's inside of a pack or a system or a tangent, a Z function at time. Now, at your house, at time could correlate to the tavern, running the business, or just taking care of the secretary or the waitress or this cowboy brother. And you as the bar, see how operation bartender keep.
I guess really we know that although I think that every green area is important.